Hello everyone, welcome to today's webinar from OEKO-TEX about the impact calculator. I'm happy to have you on board with us. We will wait another minute just to let all participants and coming and joining the webinar. So be curious, we will start in about a minute. Again, welcome to all of you to today's webinar, the OEKO-TEX webinar about the impact calculator. The impact calculator has been launched just recently this year, and today we want to give you some more insights and let you know what our ambition is with the calculator, and to give you explanations how to calculate the facility and supply chain impact. So be curious, and we're looking forward to have this webinar with you for the next couple of minutes. So we will have 1 hour. This webinar for sure is recorded, and we have a Q&A session at the end. So feel free to use the GoToWebinar panel to place your questions anytime. We will pick some questions at the end of the webinar and have, as mentioned, the Q&A session. I'm happy to have you with me. I am Sönke Giebler. I'm head of business development at OEKO-TEX, and I will be the host for today's webinar. But I'm much more curious to have with me my valued colleagues, Alicia, Maud, and Zuvro. Alicia, why don't you go ahead and start introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Sönke. Welcome, everybody. From my side, I'm Alicia Metz, so my name is not written on the screen, but now you know it, and I'm the product manager for the STEP by OEKO-TEX certification, and I'm in charge of developing our certification, also content-wise, and improve the certification constantly for our customers, so meaning that they can really continue the path to sustainability and make a positive contribution to improving their environmental goals, also in the textile industry. And today I'm honored to share with you some insights into our new impact calculator, which we have developed already over around 2 years together with Quantis and with the OEKO-TEX team. Thanks.
Thank you, Alicia. Glad to have you on board as well, Maud. Tell us more about you.
Hi, glad to be here with you today. Like you said already, my name is Maud Mary McLarby. I am the actually brand new sustainability manager of Alberto. And maybe to say a little something about Alberto, we have specialized in making men's pants and trousers. We also have a golf collection, and we're a family-owned business now in the 4th generation, and are currently celebrating our 100th anniversary. Yes, we produce mainly in Europe. We also have some partners in Tunisia. Our goal with this meeting also is to raise awareness for the tool, to raise awareness for looking at your carbon and water footprints. And like I said, I'm glad to be here. Looking forward.
Perfect. Thank you, Maud. And we have Zuvro with us. Hi, Zuvro. Introduce yourself, please.
Thank you. This is Shuvro. My name is Shuvro Dev Shah. I am located in Dhaka, Bangladesh. I'm working in Global Apparel GmbH as the head of sustainable production. And my role here is to look after all the issues related to sustainability in terms of environment, chemical, and social sustainability issues. And regarding this Global Apparel GmbH, I would like to give you some background here. Global Apparel GmbH is a local liaison office of Schmid Group, which is based in Hamburg, Germany. So that's all about myself.
Thank you, Zuro. Looking forward to our conversations about the tool in a couple of minutes. Then, yeah, let me tell you what we have on the agenda today. We will shortly, let you know why it is important for us as OEKO-TEX, as also Maud mentioned, for brands and producers, why we think it's important to think about calculating carbon and water footprint. So you will get an insight from Alicia about the tool, how it is working, what is needed from the users, meaning from the producers, in order to calculate the footprint. We will talk about reporting, why it is important to measure and to actually take decisions and corrective actions. We will learn a little bit about the development of the tool itself. And last but not least, we will for sure have a look into the future already and have a look about the further developments and ideas we have with this tool. And we just got the introduction from Maud, from Zuro, from Alicia, but we are also very curious to know who is with us today. So before we start with this first chapter, we have a short poll prepared, and you should see it on your screen right now. So now up to you, get active and tell us more about yourself. We would like to know who is listening to us and watching the webinar today. So let us know which type of user you are kind of representing. Thanks for taking part in the poll. So I can see we have 14% representing representatives from brands, 4% from retailers. I'm glad to have, kind of our target group. So suppliers and manufacturers watching the webinar with 32%, and some others, and also happy to see the interest from other initiatives or third parties. Then now let's dive into our first chapter, the why it is important and what was the initial idea, why we took part in, or why we did start actually diving deep into the carbon and water footprinting topic. I believe some of you are already aware that OEKO-TEX is not only about testing harmful substances. Since more than 10 years, we are also proud to have a certification for facilities. And we are there for the industry. We see ourselves as OEKO-TEX as a stakeholder within the fashion industry, within the textile industry, as a partner who's actually, kind of promoting, but also pushing the industry to better practices. So we had a look into the environmental performance of our producers, and we thought, okay, let's dive even more deep and have a look into the carbon and emission topic. And we identified, okay, it's not only the consumer, not only the brand, the retailer, it's also the production facility, the supply chain, who has to take a responsibility and who has to act. And as you can see here on this picture, it is actually, within the processing step where huge emissions are emitted to the environment. Therefore, we see the need that, we kind of, as mentioned, promote facilities to take actions, to take responsibility, and be part of the roadmap, and in order to decrease the global greenhouse gas emissions, which are roughly 7% coming from the apparel industry. And we are aware, or most of us are already aware, that there are certain processes which are harmful to the environment and which might need more efficient measures, for example. And with the STEP certification, we already have a tool and a service in place which helps and supports producers to act and to also measure their status quo, for example, in regard to environmental performance. You can see it here on the left hand side. The STEP certification is a modular system consisting of 6 modules. And today with the impact calculator, we are focusing on the environmental performance / environmental management part. And most of our STEP certified facilities, they are already very engaged in those improvements, in establishing more efficient technologies, best practices, etc. However, we have seen the need to kind of establish a structure in order to measure CO2 and water emissions in a proper manner. And this was a start. And now I will hand over to Alicia, because you have more for us to tell about the calculator and its vision.
Yeah, thanks, Sönke. Yeah, what was our vision actually when we developed the impact calculator? So yeah, with STEP and also with the OEKO-TEX community, our goal is to protect the planet for future generations, and in particular to reduce really the impact on the environment, and focusing on sustainable processes and help customers implementing them to achieve this goal. We want to also help brands and manufacturers really understand what is needed and what data needs to be collected, especially in order to communicate this also in a transparent way and in a credible and also in a simple way. We also don't want to overwhelm our customers. LCA is quite, let's say, complex, meaning simplicity for us was also key and is the key. And on top, it's really important for us to give them guidance on really where to start the journey of tracking the data. And then also furthermore for us, for OEKO-TEX, we really want to provide best measurement practices. So especially when it comes to carbon and water footprinting, so that we are consistent with different standards and measurement, and the transparency is crucial there, that we communicate this where we rely on the standards and everything.
Thank you, Alicia. And we will have a look into the tool in just a minute, seeing how you can quantify such numbers and measure it actually. You have heard now from more about our ambition. We also are interested in your ambition watching this webinar. So another poll for you to answer is coming up. What is the key driver for you to measure carbon and water emissions? We know this is kind of a tricky question because it might not only be one answer applicable to you, but please select the most important reason, the key driver for you, why you're interested in this topic. Okay, we have just closed the poll, so I think it's quite obvious. All answers are kind of important to you. We can see that the third answer, to reduce the environmental impact of my business, is the primary answer. And I believe, Alicia, you have more for us now to show actually how you can do that, what we have, what kind of solution we have for you in order to reduce your impact now and in the future. Alicia, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Sönke. Yeah, actually, what is needed from the customer is the big question. And before I answer that question or in a minute, first I really wanted to clarify again, the scope. So really, what do we cover with our tool? Also in accordance with the greenhouse gas protocol, some of you might know it. Yeah, so there are different perspectives. We only take, let's say, the perspective of a facility now, because the tool is for facilities. So really representing now one part of the supply chain, but obviously if everybody is calculating the carbon footprint, the whole supply chain is also considered. So this would not be the perspective now of a brand. And we focus on the most important emissions, let's say the carbon emissions now and water, as levels of CO2 emissions and water risks are projected to increase in the coming years. So we picked these two indicators, and the aim is was to cover the most significant impact, the greenhouse gas emissions. So which represents in this case scope 1, so really the direct emissions of the reporting facility. So meaning what is happening on site. For example, when a facility is having fuel consumption to produce electricity, steam or heat, or having solar panels to produce electricity. And furthermore, scope 3 indirect emissions, representing actually more than 85% are covered. So you see that everything what is surrounded by a green line is covered. So these are representing more than 85%. And this is, for example, purchased goods or transportation, capital goods, fuel and energy related activities, or waste generated in our operations. So that's what we cover. And on top, we also consider scope 2. So the indirect emissions, meaning emissions from the use of energy, and that is produced, depending on the country where the facility is buying the energy. And the downstream activities are not considered for the facility. And actually talking about what is needed from the facility side. I listed it up here. So really the materials that are used in the facility is important. So the amount of the material going in and where the material is coming from. Then also the processes, which processes are conducted and how much material is running through these processes. Then also energy and water or steam, how much is used in the facility. What is the distribution of this and the consumption also per process steps. We'll show that in a minute in the tool. Then also chemicals and packaging, so how much quantity from specific chemicals is used, and also packaging and the transportation. So what distance is traveled, the raw materials used in the facility and supplied by the last tier. So I would actually quickly jump in the tool. That's easier to get a feeling. And the tool is divided in different sections. So in the material and processes section, there, as mentioned, you can, or the facility needs to enter the amount of material running through the factory, and then also the type, as mentioned. For example, you can select from a drop down, and then also where it's coming from. We have some, let's say, fields that are also calculated automatically. Then also the processes can be selected. We identified over 100 activities with our technicians. So important processes that are conducted by the facility, and also the material that is running through these processes. Then, electricity, water, steam consumption is in the section energy and water. And here the facility enters the energy and water or steam that is used during a year. And there are as well optional inputs, because not everybody knows, for example, the distribution, so where the energy is coming from. But if the facility knows it, for example, 90% hydro and I don't know, 10% nuclear, then they can indicate it. If they don't know it, can happen, then the network average is also used. So we wanted to give the user also the possibility for that. And then also the consumption per process steps can be entered. So also for water the same, and also for steam, for example, because there can be huge differences in the process steps as well, and it's important for the analysis at a later stage. And then also in the section chemicals and packaging, here we focused on the most important chemicals that have the highest emissions when producing them. The total amount can be entered, accumulated in a year. And same for transportation. So as mentioned before, the distance traveled of the raw material used in the facility supplied by the last tier. Here, for example, also the when 100% should be a lorry, this can be selected and also updated. As said, the tool offers also default data from our database, from the WorldAPI database in EcoInvent. So if the entry, for example, is unknown, I give an example, like, for example, the geographic of or the geographic origin of a fiber is unknown, the facility manager can also simply select global as a default value to get a result as well. And to get a detailed overview of the tool, you can also watch our, let's say, our video recordings. We have some video recordings on YouTube. So then interesting will be what results are provided after the facility entered the data. So the impact calculator results provide initial insight into the carbon emissions and water usage, as said, in like for 4 different levels. You see now 3, I explain you why. So at facility level, so really the facility contribution, so gate to gate, what is happening in the facility, then also per process step, taking place in the facility, and per 1 kilogram of material produced. So this makes it also possible to compare the results with other facilities, like for like, how much is the carbon per 1 kilogram of material, the carbon footprint. And then the third one is we also measure at the value chain level. So really meaning from the raw material source to the facility gate, including also the upstream processes. So it would then be cradle to gate, what we mentioned. And the carbon footprint results are reported in kilogram carbon equivalents, and the water footprint in cubic meter equivalent for the water usage. And then with the tool, we also want to give the facilities the opportunity to really understand their production-related emissions and the water usage. So with our contribution analysis, you can see here a small section or a part of it. Yeah, the facilities can identify like hotspots of the environmental impact, and also prioritize, for example, which materials and processes they want to use in their production or have also the highest impact actually. Then also they can act and take action to reduce the carbon and water usage. For example, improve processes like the efficiency of dyeing or the material sourcing from another country. Also the transportation method, not shipping by a plane, yeah, or even use renewable energy like solar panels. Yeah, that was a lot now from my side. I think I would now stop here and hand over to the audience. Danke. I guess you have another poll.
Perfect. Thank you, Alicia. This is great, isn't it? I mean, every time I see it again, I'm very happy about this tool already. Much more coming up in the next couple of years. I'm convinced of that. And I hope you're already kind of convinced, eager to use the tool, to apply the tool to your facility, but even to your processes. So this is a great thing. We mentioned, and we want to provide this tool to the industry, make it kind of a standard. But we are also curious whether you are already engaged in assessing your footprint. So we have another poll for you. And since we learned there are a lot of producers and manufacturers with us today, it's perfect match for you, because our question is, do you already measure your supply chain impact with regard to greenhouse gas emissions? So let us know if you're already doing that. If not, it's not a shame. As mentioned, I think it's a hot topic, and some of us are very thoroughly doing such assessments, but we, as Alicia mentioned, LCA is a very complex topic, so no shame if you have not done it yet.
Excited about the answer.
The answer, there it is. Okay, we have 1/3 saying yes, they already measure their supply chain impact, and 71% who have not done it. And again, that's not a shame. Let's start applying this tool, have a look into that, and we want to encourage you to simply start wherever you can. And I would like to again emphasize, you can always place your questions in the GoToWebinar panel. We will collect them and come up with answers in the Q&A session at the end of the webinar. But for now, I'm happy to introduce Maud again. I would like to take up the opportunity and to talk to you about why it is actually important to have this topic on the agenda, and why it is important that brands, retailers, and the industry has to talk about it, to report. So Maud, how important is talking Maud, how important is it for you to talk and measure your supply chain impact, and why?
Well, thank you. First of all, you mentioned reporting, and I would like to answer the question why making sustainable decisions is important to us rather than reporting, because that is something that we've been doing for a long time. As I said, as a small, medium-sized family-owned business, we're actually built on being conscious of material use and water use and how to deal with waste. So yeah, what we want to do is perfect making sustainable decisions by using the tool of reporting. So what we need is kind of some software, some thing we could use in order to gain the information we need. So yeah, also we think carbon and water footprints are detrimental in anything that has anything to do with sustainability, and they kind of put a universal language on to sustainability, and that's something that we can all use to compare ourselves with another and make process in the right direction.
That's great to hear, and I think Alberto has done a great job so far already. A lot to come, I suppose. Could you share some more insights about your sustainability strategy, about your goals as a business?
Like I said, the sustainable decision part was not the problem. As of now, we're dealing with actually putting words into our sustainability strategy and formalizing it to the final point. But of course, what every sustainability strategy has in common is that we're looking to invest into continuous improvement, that we're trying to formulate smart goals, and also increase supply chain transparency. That comes with increasing the share of sustainable products in our collection, and develop ideas in the long run for circularity and recycling. Yeah, and I think all of these things are good to be collected and put into one sheet of information, because we do have to, because it's interesting in the regards of benchmarking and, well, yeah, setting standards industry-wide. Yeah, as far as our strategy goes, we're also looking to invest in renewable energies. Like I said, we have partners in Tunisia, and are currently working on maybe putting well, solar panels on the rooftops, because yeah, that's just something that makes sense to me. Yeah.
Perfect, and it will definitely yeah, lower your carbon emissions when doing so. That's great to hear. Thanks for your insights so far. Alicia, back to you. What does a tool actually provide in terms of reporting? We haven't finished with the tool yet, so I think you have more to show.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so actually the great possibility is in reporting, so it's also given as a facility. You can download a PDF and communicate the footprints to brands and other stakeholders. Then, yeah, for example, you see on the slide an example of the report. Brands can also request reports from the facilities and communicate the carbon and water emissions of their supply chain. And then also, for example, in the sustainability reports, they are showing to their customers, and then also the frequency of calculation. So therefore, we wanted to ease that process. It's, let's say, open to the facility, and because maybe the brand is requesting to share update of calculation due to improvements in production, or something has changed regarding the KPIs. And I would even jump quickly into the tool because this is also manageable on our dashboard, let's say, for the customers. So I guess it takes a while until you see that. So also in the dashboard, facilities can manage their calculations, or brands can log in. If something has changed in production, or they want to recalculate the footprint, it's easy to duplicate or start a new calculation and archive one. Different periods can be selected depending on which year is it requested to calculate. And then also, compare results over time. So can also integrate the facility, or can integrate all their different units, so that everything is in the dashboard, and then the whole supply chain is also visible. So then a brand can log into that and see the whole impact of the supply chain. Yeah, and then for example, download the report and share it. It's quite easy and convenient, and also the analysis or the contribution, let's say, I showed it shortly before, but here it's also yeah, nice to see, let's say, the contribution analysis, for example, for the carbon footprint, same for the water footprint, and then it can be analyzed, yeah, where, let's say, are the biggest impacts, for example, here in finishing, drying, continuous, discontinuous. For example, 75%, let's say, is a high impact of this process. And yeah, also the report can easily be downloaded, and also with the contribution analysis. Here we focus mostly on the, yeah, the gate to gate, really on site, because this is data that is also, let's say, provided directly from the facility. Yeah, that's what we have for brands, and I would hand over to Sönke again.
Thanks, Alicia, for sharing this insight. Okay, then coming up with a final question to you, Maud. I know that you have been in the tool, you checked it out. Did you make first experiences? Do you maybe even have any kind of advice for other brands, or yeah, our audience who want to simply start assessing their impact?
Yes, of course, I used the tool, and we had a quick look in it, and we all agreed upon the simplicity of the tool. It's really intuitive. You read these info boxes. You're never lost in the process of taking down information and gathering documents. So I think it's very, very user friendly. And yeah, I mean, it's always important to be data driven to identify where to focus on and what impacts are the most the most important to focus on first. So yeah, I think to distance yourself from greenwashing and to be as credible as possible, you have to map as carefully as you can in the first place before you start communicating, which is why maybe the visitors in our meeting now haven't actually heard about Alberto's sustainability strategy yet, or what we do, but that's simply because we want to take the first step as serious as possible, and then come out with credible numbers that we can improve upon. Yeah.
Sounds good. Thank you, Maud. As a next step, Alicia will take us with her into the development phase and tell us more about actually how it went off, how we came to this solution.
Yeah, thanks, Sönke. Actually, we did a bunch of let's say testings. So we tested the tool at a first stage. Really, first we had an Excel tool, and we tested it with different facilities all over the let's say world to find out if the data is right, and also the connection with our, let's say, database. We use, as said, Worldly and EcoInvent. And then also the last beta testing we did was from the IT tool. So there around 30 to 40 people or facilities tested our tool. And yeah, in the process of the development, the beta testing was very important for us, also regarding usability, to improve that. As mentioned, it's quite simple. That's what we wanted to focus on. And during that phase, we got very valuable feedback. So we really could improve also the data sets. For example, like adding acrylic in our material database that was used by a facility and we didn't have it, or we added 2 more chemicals that are used in large quantity in the textile production. And obviously more to come, and we want to improve there. And also feedback from our testers was in general overall very positive, and they claim that, yeah, simplicity of the tool stands out, and it's easy for a person to fill in as long as they have the basic data and the knowledge. And I mean, most of our STEP customers, they're tracking continuously the KPIs, yeah, and to correct the correct data, depending on the facility preparation, it's very challenging. That's what we know, and we obviously also want to improve to support there. But yeah, for each LCA, it's quite challenging to get the data correct. But where we want to really focus is and help what data is needed. So yeah, that was, let's say, a small insight of the beta testing. But we even have somebody here on board, so.
Exactly. That was what I was saying just about. Subro is with us. So happy to have you on board. Hands-on experience with the tool within the facility. Let us know, what was your first impression of the impact calculator?
Yeah, thank you. For my first expression regarding the LCA tools, I would say this is a tools which I found is most diversified, but in a simple manner, so that people in the factory, the manufacturing facility, they can easily understand what exact data the tool required. And adaptation of this LCA tool, I think it can reach the STEP certification and take ahead.
Thank you. Nonetheless, were there any kind of challenges, or what? Yeah, kind of yeah, again, challenges, or what was important for you in terms of measurement, taking the data? Was it? I mean, user-wise, it might have been easy. Nonetheless, take us with you, or let us know about how you actually implemented the tool already.
Actually, you know, I am working in Global Apparel GmbH as the head of sustainable production. And the term sustainability is not just a word for us, actually. It is master approach, what we really want to practice to our entire supply chain. We start from the fiber up to the ready-made garments. And when I see these tools, the concept at first, I like it very much because it covers from fiber up to the ready-made garments, including logistic, process, utility, waste, chemicals including. So it's a combo which cover our requirement of our water and carbon footprint calculation from fiber up to the ready-made garments. And all the relevant manufacturing facility can use the report which is generated by these LCA tools as a validated report of their water and carbon footprint data. And even they can use this, it can be a great help for them, for those manufacturing facility who want to publish their sustainability reporting, because we can see now a lot of brands, retailers, they're encouraging their supplier of the manufacturing facility, especially in Bangladesh and Southeast Asia, they should publish their sustainability reporting. And it is a great tool for them for the measuring their footprint.
Thank you, Zubo. And you mentioned it, it's quite complex. There's data involved. Was it easy? Were there any constraints? And how could you solve such challenges?
The most challenging part of this LCA tools implementation was collecting of validated data from the manufacturing facility. As we know, all the requested data by these LCA tools are already available in the facility. But most of the facility where we practice, they don't have any system in build which can, from where they can gather or accumulate all this data and input the system. So, and also the second challenge we face is lack of metering and the monitoring system. Like some factories, they don't have all the flow meters or the gas meters, steam flow meters. So where they have meters, they use those data, and for the lacking areas, so they go for the conventional calculation. And all the relevant data requested by the LCA tools are already available, as I already mentioned. And because the last challenge we faced, that the data input in the LCA tools need to be correct, because at the end of the day, all the state certified factory, they will face a audit, and auditor will also go to all and check and validate those data, which is input by the factory. So this is very, very important to ensure, and this is a very challenging job for the factory, to ensure the correctness of the input.
Thank you, Zuba. Exactly. It's, I think, always give and take. It's a collaborative effort also within the STEP certification currently, that yeah, you as a facility provide with data, but it's also up to us, to OEKO-TEX, to yeah, have a thorough view on this data, whether this is credible, and it's kind of also our part to verify this data during the audits and talk to you about your progress. So thanks so far for this input. Another final question to you, Zuvro, since you are a well-known and established partner within the industry, are there already requests from brands or other partners regarding your carbon and water footprint?
Yeah, actually, already we're getting requests from different customers from EU and US based, and they're asking for the carbon neutralized garments. And that is not only the things. Almost all the manufacturing facilities who are doing business with EU market, they need to go through a lot of third-party sustainable auditing system. For example, like a STEP by OEKO-TEX, GOTS, HIG Index, SNCP. So in their daily life, they need to provide those data. So if factory can have this kind of enriched and simple tool, which can provide the validated report which is validated by a accredited third party, this is well accepted by them.
Thank you, Zuvro. And last but not least, do you have any wishes or do you see any need for further developments for the impact calculator? What would you tell Alicia? What do you have in mind? What we could do even better or improve in the future? Any ideas?
Yeah, I have one small wish, actually, I would say. In the future, I wish to have the facility accredited CO2 and carbon footprint emission in the LCA tools, so that it will help the factory so that they can easily offset their carbon emission through some purchasing some certified credit to make their production totally carbon neutralized.
That's a good idea, Zuvro. Thank you. We can definitely pick it up at least. Maud, maybe a final question to you. Same. Any ideas for us?
I can only speak from the brand's perspective, and like Zuvro says, the suppliers are faced with condition. We have to, like you said, the HIG index, the GOTS, we have so many certifications, and that in the end is also a financial factor. So we as a brand believe that it's beautiful that OEKO-TEX has this program and launches the tool without any additional costs, because I think that also minimizes the barrier that brands have to want to implement systems like this. Yeah.
Thank you, Maud, for your compliments and your honesty. And yeah, I think it's time to wrap up, and we do so by handing over to Alicia, maybe a few words on the next steps of the impact calculator.
Yeah, thanks, Sönke. Actually, a lot has been said already, like interesting next steps from our beta testers, Zuvro, and then also Maud, thank you. We really also want to focus on the different improvements. So yeah, evolve constantly. So I think this impact calculator will not stay the same for next year. like, for example, adding benchmarking so that customers can compare their number, because sometimes you just have this number and what does it mean? So really compare how others are doing in the industry and where the customer stands with the impact. Then also compare it over time. Is the impact reduced by the time or even increased? I mean, it can also happen. Integrate further feedback requests also from the user, from the customer. So, for example, improve the data sets, adding different data sets or materials that are not yet in the tool. So I can give an example. At the moment we're developing the material pulp to integrate, because we also want that viscose productions or facilities can use the tool, and as raw material they use pulp. So this will hopefully coming soon. We also want to push then all our step facilities, because we just launched it now, into the tool, and really encourage them to start gathering the data and use the tool until it's the ambitious 2023, and getting more people on board and more facilities really gathering and measure their data.
Thank you, Alicia. Thank you, Zubro. Thank you, Maud, for taking part in this webinar. As mentioned, we are coming to the end, and I would like to thank the audience for watching the webinar. We will just start right away with the Q&A session, because I can see in the chat box there are a lot coming in. I'm glad to see that. So we have 10 minutes left, and you will use this time. Please be patient with us if we cannot pick each and every question. But either way, we will answer them all. And if we are not able to reply to them today during the webinar, we will come back to you personally. Alicia, you just mentioned the materials and new fibers, etc. And there's actually a question, so maybe you can kind of be even more precise on how, or in general, how data updates might take place in the future. The question is, there are new textile fibers with novel production processes entering the market, for sure. Are there any efforts to include such new materials to this tool? How would this work?
Yeah, thanks, Sönke. So it's challenging still to include new data in the tool. I mean, we are constantly in the process of including data sets. First of all, we would need to search in our database if there is something we can find. Also, regarding the emission factors, that's what is needed at the first stage for such new materials. For example, recycling is quite challenging to really find data as well that we can include. But if we notice it's a big demand, we will obviously work together with Quantis on that. So every year the tool will have, let's say, a new edition with where we also will inform then what data sets are new or are included. We take up these requests and evaluate them. And then secondly, can also be that we will then develop it new. So we really get together with technicians, also with our institutes. They have a lot of experience in that, and also request information from our, let's say, supplier base. Maybe they have already also, we can collect data from them. That's also what we did for developing this tool. And maybe we can then integrate this.
Thanks, Alicia. That's fine for today. Thanks for your comprehensive response. One question related to that is the European product environmental footprint. So the PEF will consider different environmental indicators. Do you imagine to add new indicators to the tool in the future?
Yeah, for sure, actually. So as mentioned various times, we have now two indicators, because I mean, an indicator, to develop an indicator or to add one is also challenging because there needs to be data, yeah, for each and every material and then also the processes. But yeah, we consider for sure to add more indicators. But we want to also do it in the right way. So for now, we focus on carbon emission and water, as mentioned, but also more to come.
Thanks, Alicia. So I can simply emphasize this. The tool is really built on or based on a robust methodology. And this is also key for us. So it's simple to use, but has a very scientific approach. And this is, I think, also the challenge when talking about new fibers to new materials or even new indicators. I'm afraid I have no specific question for Maud or Zubro. Another one for you, Alicia. Very operational, kind of operational, but also very interesting. There are two questions related to the applicability or to the use of the tool itself. So I just pick one. This tool is optional for STEP, isn't it? And in case they choose it, will there be extra cost, and will it be audited?
Yeah, so very operational, correct. So the tool is optional for STEP. So once a customer started the decision to do the STEP certification, the customer can calculate the footprint, and then also obviously it will affect the environmental performance, let's say, of the STEP certification when also calculating the footprint. Yeah, but as said, it's only optional. We also think to open it up in the future for non-certified facilities, but this will be another process. Yeah, as said, the calculation or the data collection can also be verified by the auditor. So when then a STEP audit is coming up, the auditor can, at the same time the STEP audit is happening, also check on the data. Like the auditor is also checking the KPIs for the STEP certification. So this is possible, and yeah, not let's say not additional cost only for the tool, but if there is a lot of effort for the auditor, obviously, then maybe there would be an additional cost from the auditor side or for the institute, but the tool itself, we don't request any cost for that.
Yeah, and I think
I hope that's
these are great news for the STEP certified facilities or each and everyone who's going to apply for the STEP certification. And as you just mentioned, we will see how the tool will develop, how it will evolve in the next couple of months. So we are really looking forward to the user feedback we get, and then we will see whether we can even open up and to the industry and make an advantage to each and everyone. Maybe one question I could ask you, Zubro. There's a question, and Alicia, I think you know it, but Zubro, up to you. Does the tool concern only facilities and processes or also products?
Yeah, actually, for sure, the tool will concern the facilities and the process, but including product, because it depends on the product composition or because the processes depends on the product.
Totally correct. It's currently not a product specific tool. You can do the assessment per kilogram of material used, but it's not full or screening LCA on a product level. Perfect, Zubro. Thank you for your response. Maybe one last question. Yeah, there's one. Did you build the impact calculator tool based on other LCA software such as OpenLCA? Alicia, I think this is for you again. What is the basis of what is the database of the tool?
Okay, yeah, sorry, I did not regarding connection problems here, the last part, but yeah, so the database is the WorldDB database from Quantis. So we're using the WorldDB database. It focuses on textiles, so also textile production, so the processes, and then also textile materials, so different emission factors. And then we also use the EcoInvent database. This is a very generic database, yeah, covering the energy part, for example, different mix, depending where the country is producing, when the network average is used for the energy they are using, then it's a lot also, yeah, used from the EcoInvent database. So these two are used. And if there are more detailed questions regarding that, we can also answer them by email.
Indeed, or have a look on our website, have a look on YouTube, there you find screen recordings. We have a fact sheet on the methodology, so in-depth details, again, on our website, have a look into that. And feel free to reach out to us, feel free to reach out to OEKO-TEX, or if you want to get in touch, yeah, and with Mort or Zuvro and learn from their experience with the tool or their sustainability strategy, I'm sure you can also reach out to them. For today, I want to thank again Zuvro and Mort in particular for taking part in this webinar. Thank you. For sure, thanks Alicia for showing us the tool, giving us insights. And again, this webinar has been recorded, so it will be placed on our OEKO-TEX YouTube channel. Feel free to share it, to have a look into that. And all questions which have not been answered, we will reach out to you with a response in writing. Thanks for your attention and have a good day and speak to you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.